Well, Mickey, it's truly an honor to be here to help celebrate 40 years of the Minnesota Women's Press. We face unprecedented times, uncertainty, and fear. A time in which we are witnessing challenges to our democratic institutions, divestment from knowledge, and attacks on programs and people that have sought to make our nation and our communities fairer and more inclusive. But crises like these are not altogether unprecedented. Today, the attacks appear more grave, but we know the drill. Maintain your values, insist on truth, and organize. In March of 1911, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York City burst into flames. 500 women workers were locked inside by their employers. Some jumped out the windows to their deaths. And these women worked in a context in which women's rights and men's rights were violated every day, not just in New York City, but across the country. And it was women that organized for change. It was women that led a march of 350,000 to commemorate the deaths of 146 Triangle Shirtwaist Factory workers that died that day. But they built it on years of union organizing, including in Minneapolis, a strike by the striking maidens that walked out of the Shotwell factory in 1888. These women's actions culminated in critical labor reforms in the United States at a time in which women did not have the right to vote. Yet even when women did gain the right to vote in 1919, suffrage was granted to just some women. Black women in the U.S. South remained disenfranchised alongside black men. The Jim Crow South was not a democracy. It was a government founded on fear and violence, and again, women organized. Black women, especially those in black churches, formed the foundation of the civil rights movement, and they also led the movement. Anna Arnold Hedgeman, who grew up in Anoka, Minnesota, was the only woman on the organizing committee of the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. That was the march that was so significant to the success of the civil rights movement. The second wave women's movement was inspired by the civil rights movement, and in fact, women like Anna Arnold Hedgeman and Pauli Murray were founders of the National Organization for Women. That movement made important strides for women's rights, things like no-fault divorce and reproductive rights, among other things. Fast forward to 1985. A confluence of policies led to both an unprecedented rise in undocumented immigrants in the United States and simultaneously provisions that tightened border security. The result, a tiered reality in which citizens and documented immigrants have one set of rights, while undocumented people live in fear and often without vital social services. Unfortunately, we still live in this tiered society, one that's today marked by even greater fear. Most often, it has been the daughters of undocumented immigrants who have been at the forefront of the immigrants' rights movement. Daughters like Amelia Gonzalez Avalos, director of Unidas Minnesota, and featured in the special pullout issue in collaboration with Minnesota Women's Press that you can grab on your way in. I've named just 3 examples of how we've faced undemocratic times before. And we've faced them through organizing in which women have been central, and they carried out this work in solidarity among women with very different life experiences, alliances with men, alliances with gender diverse people. So, as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Women's Press, a milestone that happens to also be shared by the center that I direct, the Center on Women, Gender, and Public Policy at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, which was also founded in 1985, we pay homage to the movements that led to these important organizations. And we pay homage to the critical roles that they play in seeking knowledge, in providing voice, in building community among badass women. These are elements that are fundamental to any social movement. And we've inherited the responsibility to keep organizations like the Women's Press strong, especially now as we face new challenges that require us to maintain our values, insist on truth, and organize.